Hey y'all, I'm Val with Our Forever Farm. We are frying squash today. If you watched the last video, you'll know that we froze squash. So I decided I'd come in here and fry some squash real quick. I might have a cabbage. I'm either gonna make some slaw or a cabbage casserole to go with this. And I may have to do a grocery order because I may be out of cornmeal. I don't think I am, but I'll have to go to the freezer and see. Yes, I leave my cornmeal and flour, except for what I use in the jars. I most of the time leave them in the freezer, except for what I'm going to use that week. If you're not really careful, there'll be like bugs getting in them. I don't know if you've heard about that. I told everybody to put it in the freezer for 24 hours, which you need to do that, and it'll kill all the weevils and all the eggs. And if you think they're not in there, think again. Talk to a grocery store person. I always say that. Just talk to somebody that's been in the grocery store business. That's all you have to do. So, if you didn't plant a garden, I encourage you to go to a local farmer and buy from them. It will bless you and it will bless them. If you think a garden is cheap to make, that these vegetables are cheap, it's not. This is our first year here and we had to add our soil and everything. We had to start over. So it's not inexpensive. It's very expensive. But in the long run, it will pay you to do this. You know where your vegetables came from. You know what you put on it. I mean, that's priceless right there. That is priceless. All I do is I get a pan of oil hot. This is a deep iron skillet. And while it's heating, I'm going to bread my squash. So I've got my cornmeal in my pan. I may need more. And then I'm just going to bread my squash. Like I said, I may have to go out to the freezer and see if I've got more. Maybe this will be enough. And I want to try to get every piece to have cornmeal on it. A lot of people use flour, like I told you in the freezing the squash video. They use flour, and a lot of people mix it. I just use cornmeal. So my pan should be hot and ready to fry this squash. Now I start it out on the stove, I get it brown, and then I finish it off in the oven. I'll show you all that. So I'm just adding my squash. There's only 3 of us eating today, so this is all we need. You probably can hear this sizzling just a little bit. That made a pretty good pan. And then I just sprinkle a little cornmeal on top to make sure I've got plenty. Now, I always salt and pepper mine as I fry it. So before I turn it, I'll salt it really good and pepper. Use as much as you want or as little as you want. All I'm going to do is turn it just a little bit and I will show you that it got brown on the bottom. And I just want to cook it through a little bit. Just get it a little bit brown. And then I'm going to put it in a 400-degree oven and let it stay for probably 30 minutes. So this is the fried squash. I've turned it once. So after I cook it about maybe 5 or 10 more minutes, then I'll put it in a 400-degree oven and we'll be ready to go. It'll finish it off. That's what Sweet Hunter's Granny always says. So our squash is ready to go in the oven. It'll finish it off. It'll brown it good. It's the perfect way to cook squash. I put it on 400. You can put it on the bottom or the top. I'll start it on the top and then I'll rotate it. I just came from outside. So even though I'm hurt, I still have a lot going on in the kitchen. I'm not cooking full meals, but I'm trying to do what I can. So I want to show you, this is halfway through cooking the squash. Now this is to fry squash. And you can see how pretty and brown it is. So I'm going to turn this. Sweet Hunter's Granny used to call this finishing it off. So I'm just putting it back in the oven, and I'm gonna cook it about 15 more minutes. Now I'm going back outside. So here I am coming in from outside again. So that's where I live. We live on our porch. Just want to check the squash and show you what it looked like. It's been about another 10 minutes. I'm gonna do it probably another 10. I do need to turn it over though. Ooh, it looks good, 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 good. Smells delicious. Mmm. Put it on the bottom this time. So out to the porch I go. Again. Well, there I go again. I'm back. So it's been about 10 minutes. This squash is done. So all in all, it's about 35 minutes, I guess. If you want it browner than this, just cook it longer. That's all you have to do. Looks delicious, smells delicious. So I'm gonna dish some out. Just a little bit for me. And I might set this back in the oven and just leave the oven off, and it'll still continue to cook and be brown. And when this cools, I'll be back. I know it's gonna be good. It's still a little hot. That's perfect. Now it'll get crunchier, browner in the oven if you leave it with the oven turned off. It'll just keep cooking. But this is delicious. This is my lunch. Y'all go cook something.